As we prepare for the integration of the techniques of indifference, the technique of the presence, and the technique of light, let us review the stages of the technique of the presence. Brief review of steps 1 to 4, we will read and ponder on. First, the evocation of the stage of tension. Second, the achieving of a state of fusion with the soul or with the angel. Third, the holding of the mind steady in the light of the soul. Therefore, the following stages must follow upon the 3 earlier. We will continue with the numbering as given, for what I, Master DK, here suggest is a formula for a more advanced meditation attitude. I said not form. Step 4. Definite and sustained effort to sense the presence throughout the universe in all forms and in all presentations of truth. Preparing for the integration of the techniques, we read stage 5 and ponder in silence for 5 minutes. Stage 5. Then, having sensed the presence, not theoretically, but in vibrating response to its existence, there next comes the stage of the ascertaining of the purpose. Hope of identification with the purpose lies too far ahead even for the average initiate, under the status of the master. With that, for us, unattainable stage, we are not concerned. But we are concerned with the effort to achieve an understanding of that which through the medium of form is seeking to embody the high purpose at any particular point in the evolutionary cycle. This is possible and has been achieved down the ages by those who have rightly approached and duly reflected upon the way of higher evolution. This way is revealed to the disciple, even though it may not concern the intuitive message which he may bring back from his high adventure. We proceed in our preparation with a brief sounding of the soul qualities that are being tapped and radiated into the group field as we integrate the techniques. We may recognize the quality in our own ray makeup. We may listen and recognize the quality in another group member. We may sense the vibratory resonance in the fields of our group service. Ray 1, strength, courage, steadfastness, truthfulness arising from absolute fearlessness, power of ruling, capacity for large-mindedness. Ray 2, calm, serene temper, patience, endurance, strength, love of truth, faithfulness, intuition, clear intelligence. Ray 3, wide views on all abstract questions, sincerity of purpose, clear intellect, capacity for concentration on philosophic studies, patience, caution, absence of the tendency to worry over trifles. Ray 4, strong affections, sympathy, physical courage, generosity, devotion, quickness of intellect and perception. Ray 5, strictly accurate statements, justice without mercy, perseverance, common sense, keen intellect, uprightness, independence. Ray 6, devotion, single-mindedness, love, tenderness, intuition, loyalty, reverence. Ray 7, strength, perseverance, self-reliance, courage, courtesy, extreme care in details. How can we radiate these qualities, these virtues as a group, as a unified conscious soul, using the technique of light, the technique of indifference, and the technique of the presence? And we add to those we have spoken in relation to the race, humility, compassion, sacrifice, group love, wisdom, sympathy, identification with others, which is embryonic fusion, tolerance, which is the first expression of Buddhic understanding, service, a developing synthesis, by means of the technique of indifference. Maya is ended. For the control of the purified astral vehicle is consciously and technically brought into activity, producing the freeing of the energies of the etheric body from the control of matter or force substance, and bringing men in large numbers on to the probationary path. Where there is divine indifference to the call or pull of matter, then inspiration becomes possible. This technique is related to karma yoga in its most practical form and the use of matter with complete impersonality, enabling one to live a life inspired by God. Inspiration is the applied power of transmission. By means of the technique of light, the illumined mind assumes control over the astral emotional body and dissipates glamour. When light pours in, glamour fades out. Illumination dominates, and the vision of the reality can be seen. It produces ability to tread the path of discipleship and enables the man to live a life enlightened by divinity. Illumination is the applied power of transformation. By means of the technique of the presence, the soul assumes control of the integrated personality and of its relations, horizontal and vertical. This technique involves the unfolding of the flower of the intuition, dispelling illusion, revealing the angel, indicating the presence, and opening up to the disciple the world of ideas and the door of the higher initiations. Through the disciple's grasp and application of these divine ideas or seed thoughts, the disciple becomes an initiate, and the third initiation becomes possible as an immediate goal. The intuition is the applied power of transfiguration. This technique is related to the little-known yoga called Agni Yoga, or the yoga of fire. Let us remember Master DK's teachings and the presence. Stage by stage, each person progresses from one state of illusion or glamour to another, from one point of discriminative opportunity to another, until they have developed three major capacities. The capacity to handle force, devitalizing Maya, the capacity to tread the middle way between the pairs of opposites, dissipating glamour, the capacity to use the intuition by dispelling illusion. You must bear in mind that none of these three stages are in reality divided off from each other by clear lines of demarcation, nor do they follow each other in a clear sequence. They proceed with much overlapping and often with a partial simultaneity. It is only when the disciple faces certain initiations that they awaken to the fact of these distinctions. From a synthetic occult perspective of the ageless wisdom, in the disciple's daily life chanting of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, Om aligns the disciple with purpose. Mani brings the recognition of the indwelling light in all. Padme keeps the purity of the soul present within the worldly or unreal activity. Hum seals the act with compassion and intelligent will. The mantra thus spiritualizes thought, emotion, and action into one coherent current, the path of the heart, carried forward. In silence, let us chant as we prepare for our contemplative process of integration and eventual fusion. Sound as the soul. As a soul, I work in light, and darkness cannot touch me. I take my stand within the light. I work, and from that point, I never move. Before we begin, let us align as soul and as a group, and see our group approaching Master DK's study. Now it is possible for a readjustment to take place, wherein the outstanding fact will be the spiritual man, the solar angel or soul. It will also be realized that our relationship through the form side will be to the inner as well as the outer worlds. We seek to learn a new rhythm, to enter a new field of experience, and to follow the steps of that advanced humanity who have trodden ahead of us on the path, leading from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real. We have tasted the joys of life in the world of illusion and have learned their powerlessness to satisfy and hold us. Now we are in a state of transition between the new and the old states of being. We are vibrating between the condition of soul awareness and form awareness. We are seeing double. Our spiritual perception grows slowly and surely as the brain becomes capable of illumination from the soul via the mind. As the intuition develops, the radius of awareness grows and new fields of knowledge unfold. We assume the attitude and the altitude of the observer. Envision your etheric body, your aura, which includes your health aura. Envision your astral emotional aura. And finally, your mental aura, encapsulating your expressed etheric radiance and your place upon the path of evolution, your personality instrument. See the outline of these spheres, these auras, in a unity. Now imagine the interconnections, the elemental and devic streams flowing, relating, connecting these auras as a single unified field. And sound the words of Roberto Assagioli. I have a body. I am not my body. I have emotions. I am not my emotions. I have a mind. I am not my mind. Now lift the attention within these united spheres to the highest point, the deepest point of life within your being, the soul. And say, I am the soul. I am light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. To develop our group focus and dissipating glamour, we use the creative imagination controlled by the mind transmitting an image from the abstract mind onto the astral field, facing the group members as if eye to eye, and thus establishing a soul-to-soul connection. In silence, we withdraw from personal and world affairs and center on the work to be done, setting up a magnetic field of positive receptive activity. Our aim is to embody spiritual discernment, practice positive harmlessness, and eventually achieve a state of divine indifference as we dispel illusion, dissipate glamours, devitalize Maya in all our relationships. We radiate the qualities, the virtues of the group soul, conscious, as we follow the technique of light, the technique of indifference, aligning with the presence. More radiant than the sun, purer than the snow, subtler than the ether, is the self, the spirit within my heart. I am that self am I. As if one soul, as if one light, divine, as if one love, as if one will, as if one fixed design. Linking your heart, head, and ajna center. Find the spark of monadic life hidden within the center of your being. Allow this point, that which you perceive as the presence, to permeate your entire being. Aligned with the soul of all, draw down soul radiance into the egoic lotus, the soul vehicle, the vessel of the soul in incarnation. Receive from the ashram. We align as receptive vessels of soul consciousness to receive impressions from the ashrams of the masters, knowing that an ashram is a place of quietly confident, regulated effort. The plan and the immediate service activity are known. And disciples and initiates, each aware of his task and equipment, proceed to carry out the phase of the one work which is theirs. Each senses its relationship to the phases of the work undertaken by his group brothers and sisters. It is in learning to see the picture whole, as the master ever sees it, that confidence and security are developed. Now bring the soul qualities forward in your mind and send those on a beam of light into the divine circulatory flow from your being, projecting into the group heart. And then to the ashram. As the greater group that has formed and is forming, becoming the channel for the dissipation of glamour and dispelling of illusion. Using the sign of the cross of divinity, let us sound the protective formula as one with the greater group. As the soul, we work in light, forehead, and darkness cannot touch us, center of the chest. We take our stand within the light, left eye. We work, and from that point we never move, right eye. Together, let us hear the note of the soul. Visualize the light of the soul, the light of mind, and the light of matter, the brain, merged and blended, recognizing, feeling the intent of the soul. From that high point of soul focus and using the triple light, we merge and blend first our individual lights of matter, mind, and soul, and then see the individual lights merging and blending into one group center. And we see those joining us from the other side of the veil, and the light of the senior disciples and initiates serving to dissipate glamour, bringing their light as this triple group light. Then, as the group soul, the realized unity of the souls of all the group members becomes the great searchlight, growing, expanding, realized into a state of becoming the one great light, quiescent and not yet radiating out. Maintaining a focused, immovable will as the point of tension, the identification of the brain, mind, and soul with the will aspect, and the preservation of that identification, unchanged and immovable in all circumstances and difficulties. Knowing that the will aspect is contacted only from the mental plane, and only those, therefore, who are working with and through the mind can begin to appropriate this energy. Aligned with the soul and the abstract mind and spiritual discernment, we invoke the will along the 7 lines of energy. The will to initiate, the will to unify, the will to evolve, the will to harmonize, the will to act, the will to cause, the will to express, affirming as we sound the mantra together. In the center of the will of God we stand. Naught shall deflect our will from His, from God's will. We implement that will by love. We turn towards the field of service. As the triangle divine, we work out that will within the square and serve humanity. Merging the light of matter and the light of mind with soul light, we create a great searchlight ready to direct its light onto the astral plane. We pause as we attempt to throw behind the searchlight our united, directed, and dynamic will or intent along the projected beam of light. The destructive quality of the spiritual will, destructive to all that hinders the manifestation of divinity. We have attained a united point of tension. We are dedicated both the individual will and the group will to the will of God. This act of will, carried on by each member of the group silently, with a deep realization that all of us are thus accepted, and that it is the group will which is being silently focused. Then we say together, with power upon its beam, the light is focused on the goal. Then we say in unison, the light is one, and in that light shall we see light. This is the light that turns the darkness into day. We sound the Om as the group soul on its own plane, sounded forth by the group soul, the realized unity of the souls of all the group members. Sounding the Om as the soul on the mental plane. Sounding the Om as the soul on the astral plane, the soul ready to function as light bearer and distributor of light upon the astral plane. Now merging into the group presence, with those joining subjectively and via our matrices of enlightened service activities, our current service groups, and triangles of light. In the heart, mind, heart in the head, we sound the mantra of light. Radiance we are and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus, with the light we work and turn the darkness into day. The act of projection. We utter the words of power, which again naming the particular glamour under the sign of Scorpio, which is the subject of attention, and thus bringing it consciously into relation with the focused light. We begin the task of dissipation. The power of our united light prevents the appearance of the glamour of selfish acquisition to limit freedom of choice. The power of our united light negates the quality of selfish acquisition to limit freedom of choice from affecting humanity. The power of our united light destroys the life behind selfish acquisition to limit freedom of choice. These words are the act of affirmation and gain strength from the experience of the aspirant and from our familiarity and regular use. The act of penetration. We visualize the gradual dissipation and dispersal of the glamour by penetration of the light into its darkness. We endeavor to see the glamour disintegrating and the reality emerging, doing this by an effort of the creative imagination. Each of us does this in our own way and according to our own understanding and capacity. We sound the Om in group formation, and then in order to emphasize that the group work is ended, I, as the leader for today, will sound the Om aloud on the behalf of the group. Om. And say, so let it be, and help us in our group life to end all glamour and untruth. Using the technique of light, we create the capacity of the illumined mind to assume control over the astral or emotional body and dissipate glamour. When light pours in, glamour fades out. Illumination dominates and the vision of reality can be seen, producing ability to tread the path of discipleship and enabling the man to live a life enlightened by divinity. Illumination is the applied power of transformation. Holding the mind steady in the light of the soul with complete impersonality, using the creative imagination, hold a vision of your being illumined, transformed. The groups with which you are working and affiliated, transformed. The nations, transformed. The world, transformed. We silently connect into the great web of light, illuminating the jewel in the lotus, the central vessel of the presence and the crown of the group, sounding Om Mani Padme Hum. To perceive the golden thread of truth, we use the sacred mantra Om Mani Padme Hum and learn from the Dalai Lama in reciting the mantra. We must be thinking on its meaning, for the meaning of the 6 syllables is great and vast. Thus, the 6 syllables, Om Mani Padme Hum, mean that independence on the practice of a path which is an indivisible union of method and wisdom. You can transform your impure body, speech, and mind into the pure, exalted body, speech, and mind of a Buddha. We become part of the inaugurating vessels entering this era of light, developing a free control of the astral plane with its quality of freedom from illusion and glamour. This freedom will be brought about when right observation takes the place of the disturbed vision of the present, and glamour will be dissipated through the right direction of the light of the soul throughout the plane of illusion. The Aquarian age will be predominantly the age of synthesis and light. Right illumination, which is another name or aspect of right direction, will take the place of glamour and the objective, personally considered objective of the group of disciples, Utilizing the technique of the trained observers is to bring light into dark places and illumination into their lives. It is divine indifference which is responsible for the fact that in attempting to describe pure being or God, and in the effort to arrive at some understanding of the nature of divinity, the formula of negation has been evolved. We recognize our relationship to the One. We recognize our service in unity with the One. For God is the one who can withdraw, and in withdrawing, dispel, dissipate, and devitalize all that has been created, using those words in their fullest significance. On the wings of the angel of the presence, using the triple light of the great searchlight, we rise on this beam to draw into our vessels the radiant, directed, and focused light that guides us into the presence and identification as being. The act of abstraction produces the dispelling of the illusory world of thought. The withdrawal of the divine attention dissipates the sentient universe and brings glamour to an end. The cessation of divine direction brings death to the physical world. All these activities are evidence of the will, or the first aspect, the will to good, which can and will function in perfection only when goodwill is finally and fully developed on earth through the agency of humanity. The will and the breath. The will and the breath are occultly synonymous terms. In this statement, you have the clue to the ending of Maya. The above remarks are preliminary to our study of the technique of indifference. It is necessary to point out analogies and to link together the various aspects of related teaching if true perception is to be developed. From the soul vessel of the united group, we breathe the will of the soul into the lower bodies and achieve divine indifference. Indifference to the world of Maya on the etheric physical plane under the law of abstraction. Equipped with these powers, the power of transmission, the power of illumination, and the power of intuition. Equipped with these powers, the initiate becomes aware of the two great and apparently opposing entities, with both of whom finding the self consciously identified, the angel of the presence and the dweller on the threshold. Behind the angel of the presence, dimly sensed, not another duality, but a great identity, a living unity, which, for lack of a better word, we call the presence. Aligning these powers as we strive for increasing recognition of the presence in its highest occult sense. in chanting Om Mani Padme Hum, the ancient formula. That's the monad in relation to the form, and the form in relation to the monad is the spirit through matter revealing love. Invokes the sounded synthesis of Om, the word of the Father, will, Mani, the Son, love, Padme, the Mother, matter, Hum, the resurrection of the three as one. Having sensed this great identity, a living unity which we call the presence, then it is discovered that the way out in this case is that this dweller and this angel must be brought together. The lower entity must be blotted out in the light or forced to disappear within the radiance. This is the task of the higher of the two entities, with which the disciple or the initiate consciously and deliberately identifies the self. This is the problem which faces the initiate before taking the final three initiations. We together create a potent visualization demonstrating the condition of indifference to the forces of the lower 18 subplanes and the use of the illumined group mind to receive the pure ideas that are transmitted through the soul as beams of light. The intuition that is developing ideas as thought forms of solution beginning to be made available to us from the rain cloud of knowable things. Using the creative imagination, hold a vision of your being inspired as the transmitting agents of the soul. The groups with which you are working and affiliated as transmitting the radiance of the soul. The nations transformed as cooperative entities, as agents for the plan for humanity. The world evolving in alignment with the plan as hierarchy is externalized. Selfless generosity of spirit. True altruism creates a sacred field of freedom. Soul consciousness binds and synthesizes. True creativity can be realized. We align with the new group of world service and sound the mantra of the new group of world service. May the power of the one life pour through the group of all true servers. May the love of the one soul characterize the lives of all who seek to aid the great ones. May we fulfill our part in the one work through self-forgetfulness, harmlessness, and right speech.